All right, for the third and fourth part of question 2, determine the profitability index for each project based on profitability. Which should we choose to do? So the profitability index is how we rank projects with their net present value. One of the problems with net present value is that it tends to be that the project with the larger investment tends to have the highest net present value. So now these were very close to similar in project size, but if one of these was $100,000 and the other one was $1 million, it's likely the $1 million one is going to have a higher net present value, but that doesn't mean it's actually the better project to invest in. So the way we do the profitability index is we take the net present value and we divide it by the initial initial investment. So the for project A, the net present value was $27,341. The initial investment was $90,000, which gives us a profitability index of 0.3038. For project B, the net present value was $29,370. The initial investment was the cost of the machine and the working capital, so that's $85,000. And that gives us a profitability index of 3455. So which one of the, based on the index, which one should we choose? That gives us our higher profitability. Now, we may have chosen that anyway because it also has the highest net present value. But that may not always be the case. This number could have been bigger, but this one gives us a higher profitability. And then finally, what are the other two methods you discussed? I don't know. I assume that's the payback period and accounting rate of return. It's also possible you discussed IRR, which is a very important tool. I don't know. I'm going to say the deficiencies between these two, payback period and accounting rate of return, is they don't consider the time value of money. So they treat, for project B, for example, the working capital investment now $45,000, and the return of that working capital 6 years later $45,000. They treat those as exactly the same dollar amount. And yet we know from doing the calculation that the outflow today of $45,000 is $45,000. But when we get it returned, the present value of that was $20,520. So these two ignore the time value of money, and that makes them significantly inferior ways of doing it. Internal rate of return, which tells us the present value of the inflows equals the present value of the outflows. This basically tells us what the actual return of the projects are. And that's a good one to use. So I don't know which one of these things you guys talked about in class.